Welcome back. Here we are again. My name's Scott Harris. Again, I'm documenting my comic book collection for insurance purposes, going through some of my more interesting or valuable runs. And right now I'm going through my Boy Comics run. This is the third video in the series. The first two covered issues 5 to 59. And time permitting, I'm going to try and blast my way through the rest of the run. That's issues 60 through 119. We're starting with number 60 because this is a key issue, the return of Ironjaw. Also, you'll notice in this cover, Crime Buster's wearing pants. So in this issue, all of his friends get together and hold an intervention and basically tell him that everyone thinks he looks like a dope for wearing a superhero costume around town. And they eventually browbeat him into just wearing regular clothes. He keeps the sea sweater, but other than that, he ditches the rest of the cape and all that other stuff. This is from 1949, right when the superhero genre completely imploded and a lot of books got canceled, like Captain America, Human Torch, The Flash, a lot of stuff ended in 49. So I think this commentary was definitely intended as a commentary on the superhero genre. And here we have 61. My copy's pretty beat up. I got another train cover here. Again, fighting Ironjaw. 62. There's another Ironjaw story. Yeah, you'll note a trend here. First of all, the covers are all bad. That's one trend. And then the next trend is Ironjaw appearing all the time. These stories are still good. This copy, as you can see, is really tan and brittle, the cover, but it's got a gorilla. So, I mean, the stories here are still pretty good, but I'm not a fan of Ironjaw. I don't like him coming back to the book. He becomes a bigger and bigger part, and instead of the more detailed sort of character studies that we had in the earlier issues, it's just Crime Buster chasing Ironjaw. It doesn't really fully come into play for a few more issues, but it's teased that here. Here's another airplane cover. And here's yet another airplane cover, although in this case you get the added fun of Crime Buster finding a village of super intelligent gorillas. This apparently is Byro's take on Tarzan. I don't know what he's thinking. Crime Buster, this is not the only cover where he climbs on top of a car. He actually does this pretty regularly. And usually he gets his butt kicked when he tries it. Alright, here's an Ironjaw cover, and you can definitely see a change in tone. Here he is, they're sword fighting. Oh, he cuts Ironjaw's belt. His pants fall down. Hilarious, right? And we're definitely starting to get more lighthearted stuff, more humor. This is, again, a downward spiral. We haven't gotten to the really bad stuff yet, but all the best elements from the series are kind of being taken away as we get into the early 50s, and it becomes more of a sort of funny book. More Ironjaw. This time we got motorcycles. And here's issue 70 with a boat. Unfortunately, these stories aren't very good. They're just okay. I mean, some of them are decent, but the quality is much more random than it used to be. You're in the 30s and 40s. Every issue is awesome. Here, it's like, you get 2 Crime Buster stories each issue. If one of them's good, you're lucky. And the covers are all pretty much ass. There's Crime Buster catching Ironjaw, another Ironjaw cover, another comedy cover. At least they have a tugboat in this one. Alright, here's issue 73, and look, there's no Crime Buster on it. This is only the second issue in the entire series to this point without Crime Buster. The first one was issue 57, introducing Dilly Duncan. And here's where we start really going downhill, because Ironjaw is taking up more and more space, becoming more and more of a central character. Here's another comedy cover with Ironjaw, and basically each issue at this point is Crime Buster chasing Ironjaw. It's like it says in this issue, 3 Crime Buster stories. Well, it's actually one story broken up into 3 parts. I guess they wanted kids to think that there was going to be 3 Crime Buster stories, 3 like separate stories. Like that's giving them more for their buck. But it's like 3 chapters of the same story of him chasing Ironjaw. That issue also is the first issue with Rocky X, so it's like a minor key. And when I say key, I mean for the 15 people in the world that care about Rocky X, that's his first appearance. And by 15 people, I mean there's nobody in the world that cares about Rocky X. Another comedy cover. Here's Crime Buster just like sticking his head onto the corner. He's photobombing this cover. He's like, I still exist. That's a cool roller coaster. I do like roller coasters, so that cover's a little cooler than the ones we've been seeing up till now. Underwater, Ironjaw. Issue 79. At least Ironjaw's not on this cover. These are all lower grade, but complete readers. Alright, so here's the key issue in the development of the series. First appearance of the Vacuum, who is kind of a supervillain in that he has a gimmick, which is a giant vacuum cleaner. It's a pretty crappy gimmick. He's right up there with Paste Pot Pete. What's key about this is this begins a 3-issue arc, which is unusual in comics, you know, just in general. It's the first time they've done it in Boy. Again, no Crime Buster on the cover because this is the story where the sort of battle between Ironjaw, Sniffer, who is a character from Daredevil that came over here, and the Vacuum. Crime Buster is in these stories, but they kind of take over the book, and from this point on, for a while here, Ironjaw becomes the main, gets the lead. Crime Buster is reduced to a backup story, and there are a few Crime Buster covers mixed in, like this next one for 84. But for the most part, the series becomes Ironjaw's. Each issue has 3 stories. First is Ironjaw and Sniffer, second's Crime Buster, third's Rocky X. And the Ironjaw and Sniffer stories all suck. They just suck. There's 86. Again, there's Sniffer fighting Ironjaw. 87, Sniffer fighting Ironjaw. 88, Sniffer fighting Ironjaw. 89, Sniffer fighting Ironjaw. Get another roller coaster cover. Number 90, guess who? '91, that copy's pretty beat up. Again, most of these are lower grade, but some are better than others. 92. There's 93. More Sniffer versus Ironjaw. 94. Sniffer and Ironjaw. These issues, the Crime Buster stories are okay, but they're down to like 7 pages. And everything else in these stories, these issues suck. Okay, look who's back. Ta-da! Crime Buster's back on the cover of 95. Another car crash cover, one of several in the series. Also have a nice date stamp, September 22, 1953. This is another kind of minor turning point in the series where Crime Buster starts becoming more prominent again. He regains the top spot in the series after this issue. 96 is another Ironjaw cover. But starting here with 97, back to Crime Buster covers. Crime Buster's the top slot. Sniffer and Ironjaw become the backup. This is a great story, by the way. Crime Buster goes to Spain and ends up fighting a bunch of bullfighters in a sword fight. Here we got an underwater plane crash. So we got boats, planes, and underwater. A lot of things, things that Byro really enjoys. At this point, Crime Buster is becoming less of a crime series and much more of an adventure series, hence the fighting of bullfighters. Here we have some Formula One racers crashing their car. Here's Boy Comics number 100. Big anniversary issue. My copy's trash, and they really paid no attention to the fact this is issue 100. I guess they just really did not care. But again, as you can see, we've got more adventure stuff. Another airplane cover. Here's another basketball cover, back to sports. Did a lot with sports in the numbers 40s and 50s. Sort of abandoned it when Ironjaw came back. He's definitely getting back into this. Here's a cover I really like, number 103. I've always had a enjoyment for this type of design. See, witness. And you'll notice here Rocky X actually gets the lead cover spot. It's the only time in the whole series where Rocky X is actually like on the cover. But you also notice instead of being an astronaut, like a Buck Rogers type, like he's been all along, now for some reason he's fighting communists. Don't even ask me to try and explain how they did that. It's just like whatever. Airplanes, number 104. Number 105, there's Crimebuster fighting some spies that are trying to steal the secret of the H-bomb. That's a cool cover, I like that. Little Rocky X picture down here. Here's Crimebuster jousting. Don't know why. Don't really remember. But I wouldn't suggest it. Here's 107. This is a key issue in the series. Cool football cover. This is where the series takes a dramatic shift. Also, you notice something here. Here's 106 again. Crimebuster, right? Up here they just call him CB. It's because the Comics Code is about to come into play. The Comics Code, you could not use the word crime on the cover, so Crimebuster could no longer be called Crimebuster, even in his own comic, and certainly not on the cover. So everyone just starts calling him CB, and in this issue, the district attorney calls in Crimebuster and is like, oh, the higher-ups just realized I have a teenage boy running all my big investigations, and they told me I'm completely nuts. So from now on, if you want to do that, you have to actually become a police officer, which means going to school and getting your degree before you join police academy. So he sends Crimebuster off to a school, to Curtis Tech, to get his degree so he can go to police academy. And from this point on, it's all boys' adventure taking place at a high school, or it feels more like a college to me, to be honest. A technical school to get his degree, and it gets a whole new cast of Archie-style supporting characters. A couple girl love interests. He's got a best friend, a Jughead-style best friend. He's got a Reggie-style enemy. The whole thing, so complete drastic change in the series with this issue. I mean, it's not to say there's still not a lot of, there's some crime involved, but it's basically boys' adventure. It's like a Hardy Boys style mystery stuff now. And here he is, Jabbo is his arch rival at school. Here he is facing off against Jabbo on the cover of 109. Here's another airplane cover. This time apparently trying to avoid a meteor. I'm sure it was some sort of communist missile. 111, another cool sports story. This one involves baseball. Crimebuster, of course, is excellent at every sport. It's like, just imagine what would happen if Batman, came to your college and tried out for the teams. That's basically what we have here. He's the dude's a superhero, and now he's just at school. So how does he, work out all his energy? Well, he becomes the best player on every sports team. Here's another. This is kind of a morality play about a cross-country race. Number 112. 113. Here's a surprisingly dynamic cover involving a boat tipping over. And it also has a girl on the cover, which is not very common in this series. After he finished killing off all the women in red dresses back in the 40s, women apparently didn't want to appear on the cover because they knew they would be killed by a rat man or something. 114, yet another airplane cover. This time he's flying an experimental craft. $115. Now, there's no credits on the cover for this, but as we'll see, the next issue, 116, cover is by Joe Kubert. And he, I suspect, may have had a hand in the cover for this, for 115 as well. This just does not look like Biro to me, and Biro usually signs his covers. There's no signature on this. This is definitely by Kubert. This I don't know for sure, but I wanted to have him autograph this. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to the show, and now, sadly, he's passed away, which is really unfortunate, but this is a great Kubert cover. 117. In the last few issues here, I forgot to mention it, but you may have noticed up here. Now it says Chuck Chandler at Curtis. Chuck Chandler is Crimebuster's real name, since they couldn't call him Crimebuster, and CB was just like, unless you've been reading the series for a long time, you have no idea what that means. They decided to start calling the strip Chuck Chandler at Curtis, so they could actually get his name out there. Again, sort of positioning him as an Archie-type character. 118, Chuck Chandler at Curtis, and here he is, he's boxing and fencing. And then here we have the very interesting last issue of Boy Comics. And again, you'll notice this is post-code. The last few issues have all been post-code. Again, something I meant to point out. But it's been post-code since 109. Like I said, 107, they could see the handwriting on the wall. So here we are, the last issue, 119. And this is the only issue that has the Chuck Chandler half logo. I suspect that if the series had lasted a few more issues, the Boy Comics part would have gone away. It might have said, like, Boy Comics starring Chuck Chandler. It just seems to like the direction they're going here. But basically, because of the code, and one of the main reasons the code was brought about was specifically to force Lev Gleason Publishing Company and Charles Biro out of business. I won't get into all the details, but the people at DC Comics in particular, who were doing all ages books, really heavily backed the creation of the code in order to basically destroy some of their main competition. They blacklisted the crime and horror publishers, EC and Lev Gleason. And so even though they're still putting out stuff like Chuck Chandler, which was, an all ages, much closer to all ages book, because it was from Lev Gleason, the distributors, stores would not carry it because they were on the blacklist of bad publishers, and they basically went out of business. Of course, Lev Gleason also publishing Daredevil, which was also basically an all-ages boys title. But they were also the publishers of Crime and Punishment and Crime Does Not Pay, the main targets from DC. And that forced them out of business. So here it is, the last issue of Boy Comics, Chuck Chandler at Curtis. Nice hockey cover again. It's kind of cool that the series goes out with a hockey cover, considering the first issue starts with Crimebuster playing hockey. So there it is. Boy Comics numbers 60 to 119. And my next video will probably be my Captain America collection. So look for that, all you thousands of online supporters.